Hello, Wally's Eco Buddies. Boy, have we got a fun program today. We're going to be playing detective, reading books, and Wally Mouse is going to set us our very first Eco Challenge. But before we go any further, I wonder if you can guess what I've been doing this week. No, I haven't been working in my garden. No, I haven't been baking cakes either. I've been decluttering my cupboards, and what a lot of stuff I've managed to throw out. I gave my husband a big pile of clothes that were worn and towels that were worn so that he can use them in the garage as cleaning rags. A lot of clothes that I had outgrown or no longer wear, I gave to a friend, and she's very, very happy to have them. I took a trip to the SPCA and gave them a big pile of books that I'd read so they can resell them on and give the funds to the animals to keep them safe in the SPCA. But there was one book that I don't think I'm going to be able to give to anybody because it's so old and out of date and dirty and the pages are torn, and I think if I was to give this book to somebody, they might feel a little bit offended. So I'm going to have to throw it in the bin. I don't like throwing things in bins, I really don't, but I don't know what else I can do with it. Anyway, seeing as we're on the topic of books, would you like me to read the first chapter of Mice on the Move? You can follow along as I read. Mice on the Move, Chapter 1. Wally arrives home from work. He hangs up his hat and calls out, "Hello, I'm home. Where is everyone?" He goes through to the kitchen where he finds Molly in tears. She's trying to scrub burnt vegetable stew out of a pot. "Molly, what is the matter?" he asks gently. "Everything," she responds. "I'm too scared to let the children play outside. There's so much litter lying around. After Jelly got his head stuck in the bottle, I'd rather they stay indoors where I know they will be safe. Then I went down to the cellar to get a bottle of blackberry mead, only to find the cellar flooded. There's water pouring down the walls and mold growing in all the bedrooms. The drains are blocked. I just can't cope any more." And there's poor little Jelly with his head stuck in a glass bottle, and his sister Squeak is on the other side trying to reassure him and keep him calm, and the rest of the family are pulling and pulling at his tail, trying to get him free. Poor Jelly. Wally gives his wife a hug. "Molly," he says, "let's move house. We've discussed it before. Our family has grown and this area has become dirty and unsafe." "Oh, Wally," sniffs Molly, "that would be wonderful." And she gives him a watery smile. And on the other page, we have a picture of the Nibbles family tree. See, Johnny and Edith are the granny and grandpa, and they had 2 children, Wally and Billy. And of course we know that Wally and Molly are the main characters in our stories. They have twins, Bubble and Squeak, and they adopted Billy's children, Dorf, Beans, Nibbles and Jelly. We're going to leave the story there for now, and we'll come back to it another day. You know, reading that story has made me think a little bit. Can you imagine how terrified Jalapeno must have been with his head stuck in that bottle? And his family must have been very frightened for him too, as they pulled at his tail, trying so hard to get him out of that bottle. And I don't know about you, but I've noticed a great deal of litter around lately. The streets are filthy, the rivers are polluted, the beaches are full of plastic bottles and waste. It's really a very dirty country at the moment, and I think that must be causing wildlife an awful lot of damage and trouble. So I'm thinking maybe I need to look at this book again and see if there's any way I can recycle it so that it doesn't end on the tip or end up on the beaches causing more pollution. So let me take a better look at it. It's a nice big book. Perhaps we could do something with it. That's odd. Why didn't I pick it up before? There's something very strange about this book. Let me open it and see. not a book at all. It's a tiny office. Do you think you'd like to help me look for clues and see who this office belongs to? I'll bring the magnifying glass. You run off and get your detective caps and we'll have a closer look. So have you got your detective caps on? Are you ready to help me work out who works in this office? I think the first clue must be that they're very tiny, for those books are minute, and whoever works here needs a ladder so that they can reach the items on the top shelves. Let me knock, and while we're waiting to find out who it is, we can have a further snoop around. Well, whoever it is loves plants, because those are beautiful botanical prints on the wall. Whoever works here is very well read and very knowledgeable. Just look at all those books and their research papers and scrolls on the shelves. They're interested in global issues because there is a map of the world, and on the desk there's a lovely little globe. Can you see what else is on the desk? A run of cheese. That looks delicious. What animal do you know eats cheese? And there are research papers. Shall we go in close? What does it say? Endangered species and plant extinction. Do you have any clues? I think I know who works here. I've just heard the door open. Let's go and have a look. Hello, Wally. I wonder if the children recognized that it had to be your office. And I see you're carrying a great big red ladybird. Does that mean to say you're going to set the children an eco-challenge today? Wally, it was lovely looking around your office, and to think that everything in there is made from recycled items. You have a beautiful place to work in. Now, I believe that you want to set us an eco-challenge. Would you like to tell us what it is? You know what? Those are really good challenges. Children, did you hear what he said? He's got a very little squeak. The first thing he'd like us to do is to look at some photographs and tell him how it makes us feel. I'm going to put 2 photographs up on the screen and you can tell me what emotions they conjure up. Do you feel angry or happy or sad when you look at them? I'll put them up now and then you can let me know. Well, Wally, I have to say that looking at those photographs made me feel sick and a little bit dirty. Those rivers were so polluted and those areas of the beach were quite frankly disgusting. I'm sure the children felt exactly the same way. Did you, children? Yeah? Yep, they agree with me. So you know what? How can we help? How can we make a difference? All right, I'll ask the children if they'll do that too. The first thing that Wally has asked us to do is to take responsibility and to become very aware of litter. So if we're in the playground or running around our gardens at home or in our communities and we see litter, we can pick it up and put it in the dustbin. And then he says maybe we can start cutting down on the amount of litter that we generate. And he says the first way we can do that is by getting rid of plastic shopping bags. Instead of having something like this, we can ask our parents if they won't buy a fabric bag that we can use over and over and over again. They might be a little bit more expensive to buy the first time around, but in the long term, because we use it so often, they're actually going to save mum and dad or granny and grandpa or your parents or your guardians an awful lot of money. The other thing is, I'm not sure if you ever go to takeaways and get your coffee or your juice or your ice cream or your milkshake in these terrible plastic containers. If you do, Wally suggests that instead of throwing away rubbish, you get a cup and you keep it in the car and you take it wherever you go. And it doesn't have to be an eco cup or a fancy cup. It can be an ordinary mug. But you travel with that wherever you go. And then instead of getting one of those horrible plastic things, you take your mug in and you say, please can you give me my milkshake in this instead? And do you know that restaurants and coffee shops and milkshake parlors will be quite happy to do that because they also know that you're making an effort to save the environment. So those are just a few little tips. And Wally says if you do that, if you become responsible and aware of the litter, you pick up wherever you can and you try and cut down on your litter, you can put your first red ladybird on your ladybird chart. And for those children who might be watching it the first time, if you go back to video number 4, you'll see we made our ladybird chart so we can keep track of our eco progress. Now, I think that's about all for today. There's quite a lot to think about, isn't there? So I hope you have a wonderful week and I will see you soon. Bye. If you would like to find out more about Dawn Booth Books and the Kloof Conservancy, you can contact us using the links provided.